I saw this picture on X, and it's nice. It's Bronny X LeBron, or Bronny times LeBron, 2004 and 2024. And you see baby infant Bronny with LeBron. You forget how young he was. He was a dominant young player in the league. And he was a young dad, you know. And him and Savannah's been together since high school, so, and it's still going strong. And then you flash forward to 2024, and LeBron and Bronny on Lakers Media Day, and they look just alike. The only difference is height and skill level, which is a lot. I hope it works out well with LeBron and Bronny. I really didn't want Bronny to be drafted by the Lakers, though. I know Rich Paul said, allegedly, if Bronny is drafted by anybody, he'll play overseas. So the Lakers had a smooth path to get Bronny. But to be honest, there's two teams that the way Bronny played in college last year, he shouldn't have been drafted. One, he had the heart ailment, which he missed a bunch of games. And then when he came back, he didn't have a great year. And I felt like Bronny should have stayed in college another year. Even if he went to another school, it would have been fine, just because he was one of the top, if not the top person in colleges with an NIL deal. I think Livy Dunn might have been up there too. But Bronny made a lot of money on NIL deals. So he would have been fine. He would have been a millionaire in college. So he would have been fine, but he came out and the Lakers drafted him. But I wish he went undrafted so he can choose the teams that he can go to. And there's two teams that I thought would have been a better fit for him instead of the Lakers. Number two, Miami Heat. I think Erik Spoelstra, and Pat Riley would have created the atmosphere that Bronny needed. Because Bronny needs a lot of playing time and a lot of coaching up. And most likely he would probably have been in the Heat's G League. But that whole Miami system of Spoelstra and Riley would have been great for him. To develop him as a backup point guard, to develop him as a defensive point guard. I think that would be, and plus they love LeBron still. So, they would have took care of his son. The number one team that I thought Bronny should have been drafted by, or at least gone to as a free agent, is the San Antonio Spurs. He would be there with Wemby, and Wemby would be taking all the heat. There's less pressure off of him because even in Miami, he's still LeBron's son. In San Antonio, yes, he's LeBron's son, but the pressure wouldn't be on him as much. Coach Pop would have coached him. Pop loves LeBron, but Pop would have, just like with Riley and Spoelstra, he would have been coached hard, but with a lot of care. And most importantly, Chris Paul is there. And Chris Paul has probably known Bronny just about his whole life. In a lot of ways, he's Uncle Chris. And sometimes it's easier to talk to your uncle or an older friend than it is to talk to your dad about stuff. And plus, Chris can talk to him about life. He can talk to him how to be a point guard in the NBA. I think he would have been better off maybe learning with Chris Paul, maybe instead of his dad. But he's a Laker. So how do I see this? Magic Johnson gave the best response to this. He was on with Jimmy Kimmel last week or a week before. And Jimmy asked him about Bronny. And then Magic said, I think Bronny should be in the G League. And I absolutely agree with him. Like I said before, how Bronny didn't play well in college last year. And Bronny needs a lot of reps. And on that Lakers team with Anthony Davis and LeBron, they're trying to make the playoffs. It's not a slam dunk that the Lakers will make the playoffs at all. So, they have to fight. Unless things get weaker in the West, which is not happening, it's going to be a fight for the Lakers to get into the playoffs again. And I don't know if that leaves enough time for Bronny to get playing time, maybe early in the season. But as the season goes along and they're trying to win and Bronny isn't contributing as a player, he might spend a lot of time on the bench. And the best thing, I think, for Bronny is to play in the G League for most of the year. So here's what could happen or should happen. First 2 weeks, Bronny's on the team. The game's going to be on TNT, ESPN, ABC. So we get the whole father and son thing. Do that for about 2-3 weeks. And then the Lakers send Bronny down. Because they can just say, listen, Bronny needs a lot of reps. He's number 10, 11, 12 on the roster. And he needs playing time. So we're going to send Bronny to the G League. And he'll get all the playing time he needs to develop him as a player. Now, I think the G League games are played at Staples. So he's still going to be there. And if LeBron isn't busy, he'll pop up at the games. But LeBron will be busy with the Lakers, preparing for teams, going on the road, and Bronny can establish his own identity with the G League without his dad around. And I hate saying that because LeBron's a good dad. The thing about LeBron is, we all hear about Gloria, but LeBron had a bunch of Uncle Phils in his life. Yeah, he didn't have a dad, but he had men in his life who taught him how to be the father, right? He had coaches in his pee-wee football, high school basketball. You had the Walker family. Like in a lot of ways, he had his own group of Uncle Phils who kind of taught him how to be a man, how to be a father. So when you see him and how he interacts with his kids, there was a group of men in Akron who kind of helped raise them, even though he didn't have a dad in his life, right? So I hate saying this because he does love his kids and want to be supportive of his kids. But at the same time, it's got to be difficult being father and son on a team. Like, listen, I love my father, but I know when we go on vacation, when we get by Thursday, we are yelling at each other. Because me and my dad, like my grandmother used to say, like, you two are just alike. And after a while, if you two keep on spending so much time with each other, you two end up fighting. And I think with LeBron and Bronny, I think they have a great relationship, but he's going to be with his father from 7 or 8 in the morning till 7 or 8, 8 at night, 9, 10 at night if they have a game. That's a lot of time being with your father. And, Bronny's 20 years old, right? Like, he want to do 20-year-old things. He wants to go to the club. He want to hang out. Now, I can only imagine, one day, he sees Bronny leaving, and LeBron's like, where are you going? And it's like, me and the fellas go to the club. All right. We got practice at 6 a.m. Bronny walks out. Like, man, I should have went to I should have went to the Spurs. But it's going to be kind of stressful. I mean, even with the players too. Like, players talk about other players all the time, but if Bronny's not playing well, you can't be talking about Bronny on that team. Even if LeBron's not there, you might have a snitch on the team say, "Hey, I heard they said something about Bronny." And LeBron's like, "Who?" And they find out who the guy is and get shipped off to Detroit. So it's a lot. Like, you got the father and son dynamic, Bronny, and LeBron, he got if it's a hard foul or, if the team is razzing his son, like, you can't step in as dad. You got to step in as his teammate. Like, that's hard to do. It's hard to take your dad hat off because he loves his son. And if Bronny's 20 years old, like, I don't want to be around my dad when I'm 20, 21. I want to kind of be young and do my thing, not answering to my father in a lot of ways. I want my dad to know everything that I'm up to. But it's kind of hard when you're playing with your dad. Now, it could have the opposite effect, right? Because LeBron's been so dedicated to basketball, the way he trains, the way he treats his body, he's on the road, he's in the playoffs. Most likely, Bronny has spent way more time with his mom, Savannah, than he did with LeBron. And even though LeBron's there, he spent way more time with Savannah. And maybe in some ways, them being together is probably the most time they ever spent together as father and son. And maybe in some ways, LeBron said, hey, I got new respect for my father because I got to spend all this time with him. I never had a chance to spend this time with my dad. So it could go either one of two ways. Either A, the interaction between father and son is almost too much where they need to separate, or figure out how to fix this paradigm so they can work together. Or B, it could be a bonding situation. I don't know. Like, because we've never seen this before. And then you have JJ Redick. He's still learning he has to learn how to be a coach. And what if Bronny isn't good enough to play right now? Is LeBron going to be happy if JJ doesn't play Bronny that many minutes? LeBron looks at the stat sheet and there's a lot of DMPs next to Bronny's name. It's like, hey, when's Bronny going to play? Like, it's so tricky. It's a tricky situation. And I get the whole thing with Bronny and LeBron playing together. It's like Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Sr., but Griffey was the star coming up, and Griffey Sr. was a guy about to retire. It was totally different. This is different. LeBron's still one of the top players in the league, and his son is playing in that shadow. So I hope it works out for them. I'm an Akron guy, so I hope it works out for them, but it's going to be tricky. It's going to be a lot of drama, but it's going to be good TV.